Brian, what do we have for public input tonight? We have one. Julie. Julie, there you are. Hi, Julie.
A couple questions. The first, the usual, if there's any updates on Quasar. I'll just go through and ask all the questions. And then my next thing is, it seems like we are moving forward on the bike path, and it's you've chosen number 4. I'm wondering if you can put that on the website for the people that weren't able to make it to the meeting, including myself.
I'm sure we can.
Number 2 on that, I was wondering, just wanted to clarify, last meeting you said that once this is approved, then the DOT is taking over the project and that they'll be covering all the expense. And then number 3, I wanted to find out, originally when we put the RFP out, or when we contracted with Wendell to do the design, we took a bond out for $346,000, and then we paid them. The design became very extensive, and we paid them another, I don't know how much, but maybe $20,000. Did we apply for the bond to cover that? Because when we or the grant to cover that, because when we took that bond out, we said that it was going to be covered under a grant. So I just wanted to know all the ins and outs and where we stand on it, and very excited that we're moving forward. I'm done.
Okay, that's it. Tim, you want to explain on the, or Larry, on the bond?
The bike path, we had a public hearing last Wednesday on the 28th, and that public hearing was depicted on the town website. So every, the 5 alternatives and the map.
I didn't see it. Okay, thank you.
It was on the website, and it was on there, plenty of time for people to see it. So.
Okay, so the design is on there, number 4.
The design is on
okay,
there.
I didn't see it. I'm sorry. Okay.
And as far as the grant amount? I mean, didn't we charge, there was an extra $10,000 charge from Wendell to put the final package together for DOT? I'm not sure. I don't know. We'd have to check, Julie.
They originally, when this was starting, it was a Seaway Trail grant, I believe, or a Greenway Trail grant that was available, and they were going to be coming up with a cost. So I just wanted to find out now that it seems like it is being turned over to the DOT for expense, right?
That's to our understanding. I mean, we have to make a recommendation to them, and our understanding, I don't know if it's public notice yet, Larry?
Well, our grant was a scenic byways grant for about 1.1 million, 1.12 million, and the original Wendell was 300,000.
346.
Right, and then we added another 10 because the DOT required us to do at least 5 alternatives.
Right.
I think initially maybe we had 3 or 4, but they wanted us to do that 1 or 2 extra alternatives, and that's what that extra 10,000. And from what I've been told from our grants writer and everyone, that all of this, engineering design was all covered under the grant.
So did we get the grant money then?
Oh, you don't get grant money. You get awarded a grant, and we've already requested our grant writer to request reimbursement. So we spend the money as we get invoices from whatever contractors.
Okay.
And then we have to spend the money first, and then we get it back second.
Okay. So then have we gotten any money toward the expenses for the design work?
That question was submitted to our grant writer last week or 2 weeks ago. They asked him where that stood.
And he said he has resubmitted.
Okay. All right, and then Quasar. I know I'm over, but Quasar?
We have not had a verdict on the Article 78, the hearing. As I said, it was probably the end of December when the hearing in Albany took place.
December 18th. Okay, all right, thank you so much, and thanks for the tip on the website.
Julie,
I didn't see it.
while you're there, regarding the lights that you had mentioned, Paul Sigmund and I took a ride out. We looked at the lights, and on Captain's Way, I think the issue there is that originally those lights were intended to be private going down that street because it was going to be a church and a community privately owned. Well, those lights went in, and originally they were tapped into, we'll call it the church power. That has since been changed, and it's now part of our lighting system. As far as the illumination given by those lights, obviously it's not up to the standards that we have on corners. But that's where it is today. We put a request into the power company not only there, and we also questioned the location of the one going into the hydroponics plant, which is another one you had asked about. And the one lady told Debbie when she called that they're too busy to respond right now, to send it by an email request, and we've got nothing back from them yet.
And Forest Parkway too?
Yeah. We're waiting to get a request to see. We also have a meeting set up, I think it's the 20th or 22nd, a meeting with them about what the costs are in the town of Wheatfield for the streetlights, and in fact, what streetlights we're responsible for paying for. So I'll know better after we meet with them. We tried to set up this meeting several weeks ago, and the nearest we could get, I think it's the 22nd. I'm not sure offhand. We got it on my desk, but we have a meeting with them. What is it?
21st.
21st, so close. Okay.
I really appreciate that. And if you drove down Shawnee when it was dark, I'm sure you noticed that it really needs more lighting and that
Oh, it
there is
does.
a lot of foot
I don't
traffic.
disagree with that.
So I
I
appreciate
guess
it.
it's just something that happened because it was supposed to be a private light, and it doesn't give out much light at all.
I understand, and thanks for the opportunity to bring it up.
Thank you. For the record, all members are present. And the minutes we'll approve at the next meeting. Bill payment, voucher number 20180254 to, excuse me, to 20180301. And the prepaid bills, and with a total of $63,650.37. Have a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Approved. Payment of bills. Department heads, Paul Sigmund.
Just a couple quick things. I got one motion up tonight if any have questions for that. Otherwise, we are out patching with our cold patch. They will not make hot patch until, I've heard the 1st of April, I've heard the 2nd of April. We're kind of holding off. We're only patching what we're getting calls for because the cold patch doesn't hold. Cuga Drive is a mess, but the problem is, as bad as you think they're holes, they're not straight in holes, they're all like bowls. We put patch in and it ends up pushing right back out again. So we are trying to get the worst of them, but until we get the hot patch, they're only just temporary fixes. We do have a drainage meeting scheduled for Tuesday, March 20th at 6:30. I didn't put that on the website yet. I'm just waiting to see if I got a few guys that'll be able to make it. We have a Niagara County Superintendent of Highways Association's meeting March 20th with the farmers, and it's more concerned with the farmers out east who are dealing with manure spreaders and tractors that weigh 200,000 pounds on town roads and pretty much tearing them up. But local farmers are invited to that meeting. Tomorrow I will be leaving for Albany at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. I'll be coming back late Wednesday night, try to get us some more CHIPS money and hopefully extreme recovery money. But that's not always... New York State seems to be in debt a little bit, so I don't know if they'll give us any more than what they were giving us, but we're trying. The only other thing I have to say is that snow we just had last Thursday, Friday, I have to apologize. Some of our roads took a little while to get done. Started out with 6 trucks. By 6 o'clock in the morning, we're down to 3. We just had a lot of dumb luck that day. We had an alternator blow up, a hydraulic pump blow up, and a issue with one of our salters. But by 10:30, they were all back out on the road again. It does happen, guys. Sometimes you do run into little problems like that. If there's any other questions or anything?
No, just thanks for taking me around today, Paul. I certainly appreciate it.
Yep, no problem.
Paul and I went on a little field trip looking at lighting, and we also checked out Wilrose today, some of the drainage issues in town, and I have a better understanding of some of the problems. Thanks again, Paul. Rich Donner, Water Sewer.
Tonight, the only thing I have is working with Mr. Zuber on finishing up the generator grants and getting everything ready to go out to bid. Tim did bring me the plans. I'll be going over them in the next couple days, and hopefully by next meeting we'll have a proposal to get it put out to bid so we can get moving and get the generators put on that we put in for in 2013. Other than that, that's all I have.
Wheels turn slowly sometimes.
And things don't move fast when you're dealing with the state. They promise you the money, they like the headlines, but it takes a while to trickle down to get it to where you can actually use it and get something going with it. But you never get it if you don't put in for it.
Thanks, Richie. Anybody have anything for Richie? Recreation Director, Mike Rinaldi.
Good evening. Just a couple of things. First thing, we have 2 weeks left of registrations for T-ball, coach pitch, baseball, and softball. Do not miss out. After the 23rd, I gotta charge you a $20 late fee, so don't miss out on that. Second thing, we are going to be hosting a spring break camp from April 2nd to the 6th. When the schools are closed, we open our doors up, so it's a nice service for the community to have a place for our youth to go to. Also, we are going to be starting our spring session for ladies exercise boot camp classes over at the youth center, and that starts March 19th. And that's it.
Thank you. Anybody have anything for Mike?
Mike, do you have a date set? Is it for the Easter party? I'm assuming you're doing that
Yeah,
this year?
March 20... What's that last Saturday? It's the Saturday before Easter.
Saturday before Easter.
What was the date again, Mike?
I can look that up.
Right?
March
24th.
24th?
24th.
Sounds right.
10 a.m.
March 24th, 10 a.m. Okay.
The day before or week before?
Week before.
Yeah, 24th.
Thanks, Randy.
Any questions for Mike, guys? Thanks, Mike. Where is he? I usually call Bridget. Mike, you're up. Come on.
Good evening.
Hi, Mike.
You guys should have a package in front of you. It's the first of the month. So we've got, in there it's reports, includes our building permits for last month. We've added a couple of things to that. Besides the open complaints, it will also have kind of this historical list of the current vacant structures are in there now also. And some of the fire inspections for the month of February also. So if there's any questions about the report, but while I have you guys all sitting here, I want you to take a look at the TV, the future TV, and I'm hoping that you like that location. So if there's any questions, feel free to talk to me after the meeting.
The problem is Larry was trying to turn it on tonight.
I have the remote. Any questions?
There's nothing behind that curtain. Not even a man.
Any questions for Mike, folks? Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, guys.
Bridget?
Unless you have something for me.
Anybody have anything for Bridget tonight? All set. Thank you, Bridget.
Thank you, sir.
Arlene Manty. What do you got for us, Arlene? Okay. Yes, it was. Anything else, Arlene? Okay. Thank you. Wendell, Tim Zuber.
Thank you. We have one main item on our agenda this evening, and that is our proposal for GIS support services for 2018. This is typically monies that are reserved in the water sewer budget, and I think we've been at our total amount of $10,000 for as long as I can remember, and that's split up into a couple components. One component of that is the lump sum costs to host the site and the license agreements that we have for the equipment that the water sewer department uses, the GPS devices. And the other portion of that is a time and expense fee that if there's any tools that are requested that we put together and have our programmers put into the GIS website for you to use, that they can do that. It also covers when we complete a phase of a subdivision, we scan the PDFs of the as-built conditions in there, so the water sewer department has quick and easy access to those when they happen to be looking for a corp stop or a lateral connection. So basically we have our proposal in there for 2018. I think it's in the motions, but I'm here to answer any questions on that if there are any now.
You guys want to do that motion now? Let me see. It's the first on the list anyway.
Sure, I'll make that motion.
Yes, would you, please?
Okay, as Tim said, from Wendell, motion to authorize Wendell to provide GIS support services during 2018 in accordance with Wendell proposal dated February 28, 2018. A lump sum fee of $4,950 will be paid for WMA site hosting and ARC GIS data collector application subscription, and a time expense budget not to exceed $5,050 will be established for GIS/GPS support and training tasks described in the proposal. Total authorization is for $10,000.
And Larry, you made the motion?
Yes.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any questions on the motion?
Just on the question, any town board members, if you want access to this, I don't know whether you are using it now or not, but if you, I can give you the user ID and password and let them know how to get in. Department heads, I'm pretty sure that most all the departments are using it, but if you're not, it's a very, very handy tool.
Yes.
You can use it for lots of different applications.
And actually, that's one of the things
And I
that
think our planning board chair.
that's one of the things that
That's a question.
supporting comment too, is the planning board is going to piggyback on that, and when we have sessions with our customers, we'll be able to use that in conjunction with the city, the short plot of land, the zone, the overlays, the parcels, the wetlands, and all the things that we include in our discussion, so that GIS information will be very supportive for us too.
Yeah,
We have
there's
a
measurement tools on there, so you can measure the distance from a dwelling to a,
Fire hydrant?
yep.
Anything else?
No?
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
That was our only formal agenda item, but before I go, I was just going to offer a round of thanks for everybody who showed up to our meeting last Wednesday, the 28th, on the Niagara River Multi-Use Trail. We had a good turnout. We had 42 people, at least from sign-in sheets, that showed up. I think there were a few more than that didn't sign in that came. And there was a lot of good discussion and a lot of good comments were sent in. And again, just wanted to thank everybody for being there. And if there's
Thank you,
any
Tim.
questions on that.
Nice job, by the way.
Thank you.
Did you ever get that bill, Tim, from the map issue we had in my office? Thanks, Tim.
I think that was a joke and you had to be there.
You had to be there. Okay, motions, Matt.
Okay, continuing on with the next motion, and I believe this was a late one from Wendell as well. I'm not sure if the board's ready to act on it, but I'll go through it. Motion to adopt build alternative number 4 as the town's preferred alternative for the Niagara River Waterfront Multi-Use Trail, PIN number 5760.75. Adoption of alternative number 4 is conditioned on the following: incorporation of traffic calming elements to River Road, such as reduced travel lanes during final design of the project, and incorporating into the design lowering the speed limit of River Road within the town of Wheatfield to be consistent with the adjacent sections of River Road and Buffalo Avenue to mitigate traffic safety concerns.
Any questions on the motion, gents? Can I have a motion?
I'll make the motion. I do think it's important that the speed limit gets lowered on River Road, but I see that we have that formally written here. So with that, yeah.
Can I have a second?
I'll second.
I've got a motion and a second. Any questions on the motion?
I think a lot of the comments that came back concern safety, and I think
Yeah.
this will greatly assist the residents on River Road and hopefully calming the speed and the traffic and doing some things to, safeguard, any safety issues.
We've
That
got a
was by
motion
far
and
the
a
number
second.
one issue.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Next motion from the Highway Department to authorize the acceptance of the lowest responsible quote received from 4 suppliers. This one from Niagara Truck Equipment for the purchase of 2 dump boxes in the amount of $8,100 for the 2-door chassis dump box and $7,800 for the four-door chassis dump box. Said dump boxes are for installation on 2 newly ordered Ford heavy-duty pickup trucks the Highway Department is awaiting. Said expenditure in the amount of $15,900 will be from the Highway Department's 2018 equipment budget.
I'll make the motion.
Second. Anything on the question, gents, or on the motion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Next motion, from the Planning Board and Town Board. Whereas the Town Planning Board has indicated the need for services of a secretary who is not a board member to take minutes at the Planning Board meetings and to do other administrative work for the Planning Board. And whereas currently a Planning Board member is the board's secretary, which detracts from the member's participation at meetings, as the secretary is busy taking minutes and doing administrative work while said individual's attention should rather be on the meeting's business. And whereas the town seeks to remove that duty and its stipend from the Planning Board member and assigns that duty to the town Building Inspection Department employee Francine Bohr to be paid for said extra duties at her currently hourly wage with any necessary overtime expense. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Inspection Department employee Francine Bohr be assigned the duty of Planning Board Secretary, a non-Planning Board member position, to be paid for said extra duties at her currently hourly wage with any necessary overtime expense, and the Planning Board member previously serving as said secretary shall be relieved of said duties and the stipend for the duties.
Let me just, before we put it to a motion, just explain in brief, and I know, Walt, you're here, but at one time I was on the planning board for years, and the problem when we had a secretary, male or female, they were a board member, and they really never had a chance to do input during the meeting because they were continually typing. And if you're familiar with the planning board's procedure, not only are they typing, but the person that leaves that room has to sign a checklist, and you could have several people on the agenda, and the secretary is continually typing, trying to get them to sign things, and never really gets a chance to have any input in the meeting, and she is a member. So by doing this, it actually is not a new position. We're taking the money that's being paid to the secretary on the planning board, and that money is being transferred to, I would say, it's probably not going to be an even match, but that money will be transferred to the building department, Francine. And Francine, not only is it a good deal for the planning board, but it's also the fact that Francine is downstairs, she's in the building department, so it's a much smoother transition. If somebody comes in to the building department, there's somebody right there. So it isn't really a new position, it's just kind of shuffling things around to make it, I guess, a little more streamlined for somebody as an applicant comes in. So Francine is there, she'll be coordinating with the building department and the planning board, and I think in the long run it's a much smoother transition for the planning board, and it's long overdue. Any questions on that, fellas? Have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Anything on the question or on the motion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Then there are two late motions that came in late today. This one would be from the first one from the town supervisor and town attorney. It's to approve and authorize the town supervisor, Don McSwan, to enter into and sign a utility audit agreement with Troy and Banks to conduct an audit of the town's gas, electric, and telecommunication accounts for the purpose of securing refunds, credits, and cost reductions resulting from the discovery of charges or costs in excess of those permitted or allowed by applicable contracts, tariffs, statutes, rules, and regulations, and or from overcharges or billing errors.
Do you want to give a brief explanation, or do you want me to now?
I can start it off. Troy and Banks is a utility and telecommunication consultant company that had forwarded us a contract to possibly review our accounts and perhaps secure refunds that we may be entitled to. Apparently they are quite successful working for other municipalities in doing so. They are not paid anything out of pocket over and above what we're already paying. They are only paid if they allow us to get monies refunded or received or credited. They get a percentage of monies that are refunded, so it's nothing out of pocket. We had a contract for a couple weeks from them that I've been reviewing, and not only did it ask for to be paid from money saved, but request to pay for monies that they would save us in the future for a period of 2 years. We underwent some negotiating, indicated the town it's too speculative. We can't get involved in contracts that we don't know what the fee is going to be for future with it being unfettered. So anyway, they took that clause out. I just received earlier today the new contract. They would be paid a percentage of monies they have saved us, and specifically saved us in the past and up to the present, nothing for future payments.
And just so you know that they have done a lot of work in the western New York, and I won't mention any specific towns, but as much as $71,000 to another town not far from here was over $230,000 they got back. And they go back and do a 5-year search on all our utilities where we're overcharged, double charged, and again, they get a percentage, but we also get some money back. So it's a win-win deal for the town of Wheatfield. And Matt, I want to thank you for taking the time to negotiate with them to eliminate any future costs, which is a big deal. Thank you.
Did they indicate how long this audit, I'm calling it an audit, will take?
I don't think they indicated to me specifically. I know they did prepare a package that Don gave me. I still have it. I don't think it gave time frames, but I know they indicate once we agree to go with them, they want to get going right away. They want recent bills, and they have a whole package of things they want supplied to them ASAP if we're willing to go forward.
Any questions on the motion? Have a motion? So moved.
Make the motion.
Okay. Second?
I'll second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, and one final late motion that is from Town Supervisor in the Recreation Department. It was requested to authorize Recreation Director the discretion and ability to request the use of services of the Town Constable Department directly from the Chief Constable when said services are believed to be needed for town events. It shall be in the discretion of the Chief Constable as to the provision of said services for any event.
Just an explanation. I think everybody's aware of some of the crazy things that go on in this world today. And this way it'll kind of streamline things for Mike to be able to call a constable if he has a large event where there's a lot of children there, to be able to just coordinate with the constable's department, and we'll have it taken care of, so there'll be somebody there. And it'll be Mike's choice, and I think that'll work out real well for the kids.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
And I have no further motions.
Board members, Larry Hellwig.
I've got nothing tonight.
Okay, Gil.
I have nothing either.
Kurt Doctor.
Yeah, so Tri-County Ambulance is doing their 100 Lives in 100 Days campaign. We brought it up last week. I just wanted to provide an update there. So their first session was this past Saturday. It was deemed a success. They had 15 people complete the course. There's going to be 4 additional sessions, but all the information can be found at the tricountyambulance.org website. Or they also have a Facebook page, so you can get on there, find the specific days. They are asking for everybody to formally sign up, but are also welcoming walk-ins. So just to give, and thank you, Mike. We have a link also from our Wheatfield website as well. But it's a great service that they're providing, because having members of the community at large that have CPR and defibrillator skills is really valuable, because whenever an issue happens, of course, time is of the essence. So it's just a really great service that they're providing. That's it.
Thank you, Kurt.
Yep.
Randy?
I have nothing.
Okay, the only thing I have is that I was very fortunate to go on a tour of Jacob's Ladder on Walmart Road. And if anybody's familiar with Jacob's Ladder, it's I know that the military and they do exercise equipment. But Jacob's Ladder in itself is actually like a ladder, and I was on it for about 10 seconds. Yeah, but they have moved into Wheatfield. It used to be the old Radatron, I believe, wasn't it?
Motorrad.
Motorrad, I'm sorry. And Congressman Collins and I went through the facility, and they're having new equipment coming out all the time. And but Jacob's Ladder is being sold not only in this area but overseas, and they have a big military contract. And I welcome them to Wheatfield, and I hope they do well. And it's a family-run organization, and it looks like they're going to do real well. So if anybody's in the need of good exercise equipment, there's the place, Jacob's Ladder. And they will take personal orders too. But it was a really interesting tour, and I'm glad they're in Wheatfield. And that's all I have.
Don, could we come back to me for just a moment?
Yep.
On the USA Cycling event,
Yep.
is there anything, any motions that we need to do or any action we need to take?
I don't think we can tonight because Matt has to check to see if we have to conduct a public hearing
Okay, so
before
we're
we
gonna
can.
check.
Yeah, I would say if we find out with Paulie within the next few days if we have to have a public hearing, then we'll do it quickly and notify the residents, and then we'll do. I think we'll have to do it that way, don't you, Matt?
Yeah, I would like to double check. If we need to have a public hearing, we're gonna schedule it. We only really need 10 days' notice, so
Yeah.
if we can do it at the next board meeting, we could probably schedule it for the first meeting
Okay.
in,
And you'll check with Paulie whether it's required or
yeah, and
not?
I'll check the law. He's cited a section of law, but
Yeah.
I'll check that, I'll get that.
Okay, so maybe you guys can get together soon and we'll get that taken care of. Okay. Our next meeting will be March 19th at 7 o'clock. A public hearing for a special use permit for the Moog Incorporated regular town board meeting. I think this is related to a special permit, Tim, just refresh my memory, because of potential hazardous materials. Okay, and that was both chemicals that we couldn't pronounce, if I remember correctly. Okay. And they're aware of this, they've been notified? Okay, great. Thank you. Anybody like to put any input on anything that was discussed tonight? Who does? Oh, Robin, I'm sorry, come on down. Here, I've got it right in front of me. I never get it right, do I? Come on, Robin. Robin is our head constable, and Robin, make a report.
Okay, just real quickly, I don't want to belabor the evening, but thank you. I unfortunately working afternoon shift at my full-time job doesn't give me the opportunity to be here very often, but just to bring everybody up to snuff with what's going on in our little department, we've made a few hires over the last few months, which I'm pleased to say that my magic number in staffing is 10, and we are currently at that. So the last two guys we hired just have some training, things to go through, and we'll be at our full staff of 10. Looking forward to a good year, sprucing up our patrol vehicles a little bit, and I talked with the supervisor earlier, we're going to try and get back into more actively pursuing the vacation house watch checks for our citizens. By that, they would call into town hall, leave some information about the dates and whatnot that they're going to be gone, and from April till October, I usually have a car out 3 nights a week, and what the constables will do is they'll take these vacation house watch checks with them in the car. They'll actually physically stop at the house, do a complete 360-degree perimeter check of the house. If they find anything wrong, they'll have emergency contact information for the residents to contact, or somebody, if they're out of town, perhaps there's a local person that they can respond out and take care of it.
Robin, can I ask you a question? Is
Yes.
that something that's been done in the past?
Yes, it has been done in the past. Last few years, we haven't quite as actively pursued it. People know about it, but with the supervisor and the board's permission, I probably wouldn't mind putting another press release out within the next month or so to
Probably not a bad idea.
draw
Is
that
gonna
to
take a
people's
motion?
attention.
No, it's a currently established.
Right,
Okay.
right.
You guys could also put it on the website.
Yeah, exactly. That would be an awesome idea, great idea.
Is there a time period that would
Um,
begin?
I would say probably maybe the 1st of May we'll try and have that go. I mean, we're happy to do vacation watch checks, throughout the year, so they can submit these anytime. But our most active patrol time is from April till October, obviously during the nicer weather.
That's a great service to the town of Wheatfield residents
Yeah.
to be able to check their homes. I think that's
Right.
great. Do you feed dogs also?
Not at this point, but, you know.
I'm teasing. I have 3 dogs at home.
Right.
Ask Scott.
Depending on the size of the dog, I don't want my officers to be fed to them either, yeah.
I'm kidding with you.
Yeah, but in any case, just a few other things. We do some annual training. We've already for this year completed our annual CPR and AED training. With regard to the program that Kurt was speaking of, the CPR training for the public, you know, that quick CPR and quick AED application is vitally important to patients that go into cardiac arrest. And for the last 3, 4, whatever years since the town court got a grant for AED units, every time a constable car hits the road, there's an AED unit in that. We do have an excellent working relationship with the sheriff's office and the dispatch center. In addition to backing up sheriff deputies and state troopers while we're on the road, we are primarily dispatched to AED calls in the town of Wheatfield too, if we're in a position to respond to that. So we're also very fortunate that a lot of our staff are EMTs, firefighters that do this outside of the constable department. But a lot of people don't realize that every time that car hits the road, there is an AED unit sitting on the seat with them. You know, that we are able to respond, and we will be dispatched to that. So we have our annual training that's going to be coming up in the spring. Again, a lot of people don't realize that all our officers are academy certified through the New York State Department of Criminal Justice Services as peace officers. We have all been to the academy. We don't just kind of roll out there and put on a uniform and do our thing. So that being said, each year we do annual training, which is a full 8-hour day in which we have our instructors come in and we spend an entire day at the Niagara Gun Range doing firearms qualifications, impact weapons, aerosol restraints, Penal Law Article 35 recertification. This gets done annually by each and every one of our officers. So, you know, just maybe it sheds a little light on exactly what our position is. We're still our little department, but there's still things within the law that we have to, you know, conform to each and every year, and just to let the town board know that things are on track for another good year for us. Looking forward to doing whatever we can do to help the recreation department, anybody else. I'm really looking forward to this bike race proposal that's coming up. I've assured him that, you know, I'll have an officer there each night to help out, not to interfere with their volunteers or anything like that, but he expressed a deep concern and an appreciation for the fact that we put a uniform officer out there just to help out and be there in case anything's needed. So, so far this year in 2018, as far as patrols, we've done between 80 and 100 hours of day, evening, and overnight patrol hours. We've issued just over 80 parking tickets on the overnight parking violation. And so Paulie knows we're trying. The new tickets are on order. We actually ran out of parking tickets, which prompted last month the proposal from the board to review and revisit the fine schedule on the front of those tickets. Yeah. So I think Paulie would be happy that you know, we're going to put a little bit more bite in the overnight parking tickets. Again, not that we're trying to gouge anybody, sure, but for somebody to get a $10 ticket for overnight parking is basically people were just coming and saying, okay, here's my $10 fee for parking on the street overnight. Yeah. They were using it like a parking fee as opposed to, but that certainly doesn't help our town highway guys that are trying to plow the roads and make sure people can get in and out to work and school the next day. So,
just so you know, Robin, we've discussed the follow-up. You know, some of the tickets were older than the hills, right, and not worth following up, but to pursue to make sure that any tickets issued after January 1st are paid.
Right. Okay. And just to revisit that idea, that proposal that went through, overnight parking ticket has been the same since probably the 1970s or 80s. It was a $10 fine. That's since been changed, so now the overnight parking violation is going to start at $35. If it's not paid within 72 hours, it's going to go to $85. And if it's not paid within 30 days, the person's name will be sent to the state DMV, and their registration and or license can be suspended for that.
So at least we'll get paid this time.
Yeah, so great. But that's all I have right now, unless you guys have anything.
How about Tri-Community? You want to touch on that a little bit, or?
Yeah, Kurt, you know, did an excellent presentation.
How's it going, though? I mean,
the Tri-Community is doing fine. We're still there's 28 volunteer fire companies and 2 volunteer ambulance services in the town, in the Niagara County. And again, Tri-Community was the busiest volunteer emergency service in Niagara County last year. We ran 1,628 calls out of our little station down there last year. To date, right now, I just went on 2 this morning, and I think that was number 257 or 258 so far. And We're just into March. So we're on track for another busy year. Attendance from our crews has been great. When we hold our numbers and our stats up against statewide numbers, you talk about a volunteer organization that occasionally you miss a call, okay? Somebody's not there, we need to call a mutual aid. Statewide, the average missed call percentage is usually about 9.5%. I'm happy to say that last year, with over 1,600 calls, Tri-Community missed 2.5% of our calls that we had to rely on mutual aid. In the same respect, we also provided mutual aid several times to the town of Niagara and surrounding agencies. But everything's looking real good for us. You know, we have right now we have a roster of over 100 people. The usual 40 or so are active. As far as paramedics, we have a staff of about 29 ALS providers on staff right now. Again, for a volunteer organization that, you know, hopefully most places can get a basic EMT on an ambulance. Last year we rolled out the door 46% of the time staffed at the paramedic level. So I think, you know, we're very, very fortunate to have the organization we do down there here serving the town of Wheatfield as well as parts of Cambria and Lewiston. Great. So, but the CPR program that we're running right now, that 100 lives in 100 days, it just hits home. One of our members read an article about the amazingly higher recovery rate for somebody that goes into CPR or goes into cardiac arrest if immediate CPR is done. Okay, we as paramedics and EMTs are going to be at our station, at our homes, whatever. But if we can educate the lay public on the basic skills of doing CPR when they are standing there and the person next to them goes into cardiac arrest, that's going to be the lifesaver. That is going to be the lifesaver right there. So that's the whole purpose behind our program, is to train members of the lay public. Bottom line, the more tools in the toolbox, the more successful the job is going to be. Great. So,
thank you.
All right, thank you.
Nice report, appreciate it. Kathy? Have a motion to adjourn? Did I get a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.